Hi, welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Here's a story about a 9-year-old. They got this library that has this reading contest in New York, and this kid has won the contest 5 years in a row. He read 63 books between June 24th and August 3, and the librarian saying, you got to step down. You're too good. You keep taking home the trophy. We got to share. We've got to let other people have a crack at it. So the library director, instead of being proud of him, instead of commending him, instead of offering him as an example to other patrons of the library, now is trying to get him to quit so other kids can have a shot at the prize. Instead of telling them to read more books, which is what she ought to be doing, she's telling him to read less. And then just a health nutrition kind of item, came across this piece from the London Telegraph. It's from a London newspaper, so you got to know it's going to be good. Got to know you can trust it. Fruit juice could be worse for you than cola, than Coke, than fizzy drinks. Fruit juice, according to the American obesity expert Robert Lustig, that's exactly what we need, is more obesity experts in America. He said that fruit juice is just sugar and is therefore, in his view, a poison. Now, I don't think sugar's a poison, but for those of you that do, then this will be meaningful information. He sees sugar as the major culprit in the obesity crisis. Listen to this, calorie for calorie, 100% orange juice. I would have thought orange juice would be one of the good guys. Calorie for calorie, 100% orange juice is worse for you than sugary sodas. And it says you take these 200 milliliter children's juice boxes, you know, those little rectangular juice boxes with the built-in straw and all that. They contain about 17 grams of sugar, which is the equivalent of more than 4 teaspoons of sugar. So you give your kid one of those little juice boxes thinking, man, this is good, it's healthy, it's nutritious. It's just like giving them 4 teaspoonfuls of sugar down the hatch, Junior. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Lee in Plano, Texas. Lee, welcome to Focal Point. What is on your mind, Lee? Welcome to good to have you.
Thank you. I wanted to let you know about a town hall meeting we had. Cornyn wouldn't come. Like you said, he won't listen to us or meet with us, but we had a meeting anyhow. Had him there in absentia, I think the word is.
Do you have a little, like a cardboard cutout or something?
Yes, we did. Maybe you've already heard about it. But
no, I haven't.
It was very well attended. There were probably over 500 people who came.
Wow.
They had to make an announcement that the people standing outside the room, as many as were inside,
wow,
had to go because fire marshal was on his way and would give the hotel where we were meeting a hefty ticket. So
wow,
they weren't happy about that, and it was hot in there but we stayed. We weathered it through. It was wonderful. It was so good to see so many people coming out being non-apathetic, speaking out. They were all very upset with Cornyn. And
Lee, tell me, what were they upset with John Cornyn about? What were the major concerns?
Our main issue was what you've been talking about a lot and what is on the mind of people here in Texas for sure and all over the United States as well, I think. The defunding of Obamacare. He claims when you call his office that he's on board with that. He was one of the co-signers. But then they confuse you by trying to divide the issue between that and the continuing resolution, saying that they're just not on board with the Lee letter that would shut down the government.
You know, and that's the deal. The key thing is, have they signed the Lee letter? Because you sign the Lee letter, you are pledging that you will not vote for any continuing resolution that is funding for Obamacare. So it's one thing for a guy to say, I support defunding Obamacare. That doesn't cost him anything to do it. Signing the Lee letter where they actually make a pledge to vote that way, that's the deal. And Cornyn, I think originally might have signed that. He might have been one of the original signers, and then he backed away. He pulled his signature off of that letter. And so
that's right. And this group that, it was a Tea Party group that got everybody together, but there were people from all over the Metroplex, from Arlington, from Richardson, from Plano, from the Dallas, Greater Dallas, etc. People from all over were pulled into this meeting. And they gave us this information as well, which I wasn't aware of, that Cornyn and Graham are working together on many things, such as raising taxes. They have worked together to pass one of the largest federal tax hikes in American history, supporting President Obama's class warfare rhetoric in raising the payroll tax for 77% of Americans. They have blocked the best conservative budget proposed in the Senate. Senator Cornyn and Graham voted together for 2 straight years against Senator Rand Paul's budget resolution, which would have balanced the federal budget in 5 years, eliminated several unnecessary cabinet departments, reformed entitlements, and fundamentally reformed taxes. They worked together to spend billions on corporate handouts and food stamps. On and on. And I didn't realize that until I was already upset with them, but now I really am. And let me tell you, we the people can fight this. We cannot be, as you said, I'm so glad that people are coming out now telling it like it is, that Obama lies, that these senators who are part of the establishment only care about their whether they're going to be voted in or not. Well, they better take notice that they're in danger of losing their jobs because people are rising up to say, we don't want you in there. We're ready to kick you out. We have somebody in mind to take your place. And let me tell you one more thing. There was a lady there who spoke. Many people spoke. Many of us did at the meeting. The microphone was passed around. But the most impressive speech, I think, besides that of some of the young people from colleges there, and we need to start working in the colleges to let them know what's going on, by the way. But anyhow, this lady from someplace in Europe, I think she said Romania, I'm not sure, took the microphone and made us cry. She said she told us how she had come to America for more freedom, and she said, I see this country turning socialistic. She said, if Obamacare is passed, I will see here what I saw in Europe. You will become totally a socialistic country. We're on our way to it now. But she said in Europe, and the country she came from, someplace in Europe, she said there are lines for everything.
Yeah. And it's interesting, and I appreciate that, and thank you for showing up at that thing. And, there's a reason John Cornyn's not there. And I think, I'm not going to single out John Cornyn for this. I'm just talking in general here. I think a lot of Republican legislators, they're playing us for suckers. They're playing us for chumps. They are taking us for granted. Their view is, where else are you going to go? Who else are you going to vote for? I don't have to show up at your dinky town hall meetings. I don't have to show up at your Tea Party events, because when push comes to shove, who else do you have to vote for? You're going to vote for me. So I'm free to go over here and pander to all these other people and ignore you and take you for granted because you've got no alternative. You've got no place to go. And the only antidote to that is to come up with alternatives and give voters another place to go. All right, Lee, I appreciate that. I remember our first Tea Party event in Boise back in 2009. Our very first speaker was a guy from Eastern Europe. And he said, look, I migrated from there. I came to the United States to get away from what Obama was doing. That's right after he basically nationalized General Motors. He said, look, I came to America, and he spoke with an accent. I came to America to get away from that, and now it is catching up to us right here. Now let's grab a quick soundbite. 888-589-8840, by the way, is the number to call. Clip number 1. This is George Stephanopoulos. He's a former Democratic operative, big-time operator with Bill Clinton. And, you think about what this guy says. He's talking here as if he really cares about the survival of the Republican Party. Now, and so I want you to play the soundbite, and then I want you to think about the logical implications if he really believed what he was saying. Here's George Stephanopoulos talking about what would happen if the government were to shut down.
I want to turn back to domestic policy. The president wrapping up his vacation at Martha's Vineyard. We have images of him playing golf yesterday with Larry David. But aside from him being on vacation, he's coming back to a lofty administration, and he's got immigration reform, gun control, a deficit deal. What, if any, can he accomplish?
Well, he's got a big fall coming up, which is why he cut his vacation short. He only went 8 days this year instead of the normal 2 weeks. And the big problem for the president right now is they're facing 3 showdowns with the Congress over shutting down the government, over the debt limit, over the sequester, which has already led to severe cuts in government funding. And the president has precious little leverage there as well. But he believes, and the White House believes, that the Republican Party is in an even weaker position, that if they shut down the government, say over their calls to defund Obamacare. They will relegate themselves to minority status for a generation.
So George Stephanopoulos says, look, if the House pushes this, if they push this thing into a shutdown, they will be relegated to permanent minority status for a generation. Now, if he really believed that, listen to me on this. If George Stephanopoulos really believed that, he would be rooting for them to shut government down. They want the Republican Party obliterated. They want it eliminated. They want it wiped off the face of the map. They want it neutralized forever. And George Stephanopoulos says if they push a shutdown, that's what's going to happen. If they really believe that, if they really believe that a government shutdown would harm the Republican Party, they'd be rooting for it. They would be saying, Republicans, you got to do it. Go for it. They would be trying to convince them to do it if they really believed. The reality is they're afraid that a government shutdown, they're afraid that if President Obama shuts down the government, and it'll be him doing it, if the Republicans give him a continuing resolution that funds every part of the government except for Obamacare, and that's not good enough for him, then President Obama will be the one shutting down the government. And guys like George Stephanopoulos are afraid that President Obama is going to be blamed. Now, these Democrats, they always talk about 1995 and bring up that boogeyman. Now, here's the deal for all of us to understand, Republicans in particular. The 1995 government shutdown, such as it was, I mean, all essential federal personnel got paid, the military got paid, the Social Security checks went out, Medicare reimbursements went out. It wasn't this Chernobyl thing that everybody's making it out to be. But realize what came out of that government shutdown. Clinton knew that the Republicans were serious about their priorities, that they were so serious they were willing to stalemate the functions of government because their priorities, their principles were that important to them. What happened after that? Well, the Republicans picked up 2 seats in the Senate. They lost 8 House seats, but they maintained control of the House. They got a balanced budget for 4 straight years, the first time that's happened since who knows when, since Andrew Jackson probably. And they got welfare reform, major, significant welfare reform. So did the shutdown hurt the Republicans? Hardly. The shutdown was the key to implementing the conservative Republican agenda. The Democrats know it. That's why they're afraid of it. Focal Point AFR Talk.